Chevron. You know the name, you've seen the gas stations, you've probably even filled up your tank there. They are an absolute giant, a pillar of the global economy. But when a company gets this big, this powerful, you've got to wonder, what's really happening behind the slick commercials and the glossy annual reports? We started digging, and what we found was a meticulously crafted strategy, a playbook. And today, we're going to tear it open and show you exactly how it works. So this is the question that started it all for us. How on earth does a company post record-breaking profits? I mean, the kind of numbers that make Wall Street drool, while at the very same time, they're caught up in one of the biggest, messiest environmental legal battles we've ever seen. It seems impossible, right? Like those two things just can't exist at the same time. But what we found out is it's not a paradox. It's a plan. And it's brilliant in a really specific and, you could argue, a very dangerous way. All right, to crack this playbook wide open, you have to do one thing. Follow the money. And with a company the size of Chevron, that money trail always leads back to growth. Our investigation kicks off with their latest and maybe their boldest power move yet. $53 billion. Just let that number hang in the air for a second. That is the kind of money that redraws the entire map of the energy world. It's what Chevron put on the table in an all-stock deal to snap up Hess Corporation. Now, this wasn't just them going on a shopping spree. No, this was a calculated chess move to lock in their dominance for decades. But here's the twist. The real prize wasn't Hess itself. It was something Hess had in its back pocket. This was the crown jewel of that whole $53 billion deal, a 30% stake in a massive offshore oil discovery off the coast of Guyana called the Stabroek Block. Now, this isn't just another oil field. We're talking about one of the most significant, most valuable oil finds on the entire planet in the last decade. It's a monster. To put that into perspective for you, we're talking about an estimated 11 billion barrels of recoverable oil. Billion with a B. This is the kind of thing that oil executives literally dream about at night. It's a guaranteed fire hose of cash that secures the company's future for a very, very long time. It is a total game changer. But here, we get our first real glimpse of the playbook in action. Getting their hands on this prize wasn't so simple. Their biggest rival, ExxonMobil, tried to throw a wrench in the whole thing, claiming they had first dibs. That kicked off a brutal, year-long legal war. But here's the thing about Chevron. Their legal team is legendary. They fought tooth and nail, they won, and they secured their prize. It was a raw display of power that sent a clear message. When we want something, we get it. Period. So on one side of the coin, you've got Chevron making these massive, aggressive bets on old-school oil and gas. But flip that coin over, and you see a totally different company. Seriously, if you just read their website or their annual reports, you'd think they were a green energy startup. And this right here is where the playbook gets incredibly clever. Check this out. This is a direct quote from their latest report. It's all about lower carbon ways and meeting the world's energy needs responsibly. It sounds amazing, doesn't it? It paints a picture of a forward-thinking company leading us into a clean energy future. And the poster child for this new green image? A massive, high-tech project all the way down in Australia. Mate the Gorgon Carbon Capture and Storage System, or CCS. On paper, this thing is a technological marvel. It's one of the biggest of its kind in the world, and it's designed to literally suck carbon dioxide out of the emissions from a giant gas plant and bury it deep underground forever. This is the absolute crown jewel of their green PR machine. But you know how we do it here? We always look past the press release. And here is where the story completely falls apart. On the left, you've got Chevron's official line, over 11.5 million tons of CO2 stored. It's a massive number, and it's designed to impress you. But then you look at the independent analysis on the right, and the reality is just staggering. When you account for all the emissions from the entire project, this huge, expensive system captured just 2.66% of the pollution. Not 30%, not 60%, less than 3%. And this wasn't just a one-off bad year. The project has never come close to hitting its own targets. It's consistently operated at less than half of what it was designed to do. And that reveals a key part of the playbook. The green project doesn't actually need to work perfectly. It just needs to exist. That way you can point to it in your ads and your reports and talk all day about your commitment to a lower carbon future. It's a PR shield. Now you might be thinking, okay, that's one project on the other side of the planet. Maybe it's just a fluke. But when we started digging into their operations right here at home, we found the exact same pattern playing out again and again. Our next stop takes us right into Chevron's own backyard, Richmond, California. So in late 2025, regulators hit Chevron with a fine of nearly $1 million. And what was it for? The air pollution monitors at their Richmond refinery, the actual equipment that's supposed to protect the community, they weren't working right. For all anyone knew, they were flying blind, potentially pumping out who knows what into the air that thousands of people breathe every single day. So how did Chevron respond? An apology? A promise to do better? Nope. They played the victim. This is a direct quote from their spokesperson, framing the fine not as them failing to follow the rules, but as an example of excessive regulation. See what they did there? It's a classic move: deflect, reframe, and change the story. But here's what they hope you don't find out. That $900,000 fine, it wasn't a one-time thing. Not even close. Over the last decade, at that one refinery alone, Chevron has paid out over $13 million in penalties for more than 1,000 separate violation notices. This isn't an anomaly. For them, it's just the cost of doing business. Now, paying fines and blaming the government is one thing, but to truly understand the full power of the Chevron playbook, we have to go to the one case that threatened to bring the entire company to its knees. It's a story that spans decades, involves billions of dollars, and has been called the Amazon's rainforest Chernobyl. The accusation alone is just mind-blowing. The lawsuit, filed on behalf of 30,000 indigenous people and local farmers, claimed that Texaco, a company Chevron later bought, systematically and deliberately dumped 16 billion gallons of toxic wastewater directly into the rivers and streams of the Amazon rainforest. We're talking about an environmental catastrophe that poisoned the very land and water that people needed to survive. Okay, so you got to follow this timeline because it is an absolute masterclass in corporate warfare. In 2011, after a long, hard fight, an Ecuadorian court slams them with a $9.5 billion judgment. For most companies, that's a death blow, but not for Chevron. Their response was total war. They immediately moved all their assets out of the country so there was nothing to collect. One of their lawyers was famously quoted as saying they'd fight it until hell freezes over and then fight it out on the ice. And they did. They took the case to a private international tribunal and, in a move that stunned the world, got the entire thing overturned, arguing the original judgment was based on fraud. The final result is one of the most unbelievable legal turnarounds in history. Not only was that massive $9.5 billion judgment made totally unenforceable, but the nation of Ecuador itself was ordered to pay compensation to Chevron. Let that sink in. The victims got nothing. The company that acquired the polluter got a check. So, when you step back and look at everything, the huge oil deal, the failing green tech, the endless local fines, and that unbelievable legal victory in Ecuador, you start to realize these aren't just random, disconnected events. This is a system. It is a playbook, executed to perfection. So here it is, the playbook laid bare. Step 1, pursue aggressive, all-out growth. Buy up the competition, lock down the most valuable assets on the planet. Step 2, publicly talk nonstop about your commitment to a lower carbon future. Step 3, build a couple of high-profile green projects, but don't sweat it if they don't actually work that well. Step 4, when you get caught breaking the rules locally, just blame the regulators for being excessive. And finally, Step 5, the masterstroke. If anyone ever truly threatens you, unleash a legal army to absolutely crush them. And the big question is, does the playbook work? Well, the numbers don't lie. $27.1 billion. That is how much cash Chevron returned to its shareholders in a single year. By the only metric that seems to matter on Wall Street, this playbook isn't just working, it's a phenomenal success. Look, Chevron is an incredible machine, precision engineered to deliver enormous value to its shareholders. And at that, it is wildly successful. But as our investigation shows, there's a kind of hidden ledger, a list of environmental, social, and legal costs that never show up on the official balance sheet. And that leaves us with one final, unavoidable question to think about. Who is really paying the price for all this success?